Alright guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Speaking Wrestling with Elvis Arroyo. I am Elvis Arroyo, and this is episode 7. I want to thank you guys for downloading the last week's episode and the previous episodes. Thank you so much. You can follow us over on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling and over on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle. And also good news for you guys, we are up on YouTube, so check us up on YouTube at Speaking Wrestling. You can find the latest video there, and you'll find this episode up on YouTube. Go ahead and spread the word, like and subscribe. And you can also subscribe to our podcast anywhere else you get our podcasts. We're available on Google Podcasts, Stitcher. We are available on iOS. We're available on Spotify as well as TuneIn, guys. All right, and I hope everybody's been having a great week this week. This week's been kind of quiet on the news, but there's still some stuff we're going to get into, and let's start with TakeOver from last week. NXT TakeOver 25 was held in home state of Connecticut. One of the best takeovers. I'm not sure if it's the best of the best, but it's definitely up there. I thought that they really brought it. The talent on this card. The card was stacked. Opening match, Matt Riddle, Roderick Strong. That's right, guys. We're going to get right into this thing. Opening match, Matt Riddle, Roderick Strong. What a way to open up a match. This is the type of match that, I've been wanting to see in WWE for a while from any competitor. A good technical matchup like this. Two guys with a fighting style, fighting background, both grapplers. Roderick, as you call him, you heard throughout the show, Morrow was calling him the Messiah of the backbreaker, and Riddle, with those knees and those strikes. Great matchup, and Riddle gets the win. Good win for him. Roderick gets a loss here, but there's more from him that we can see. I hope that he gets an opportunity later on down the road. This whole Undisputed Era thing, it's great for him, but I definitely see him as a breakout star from the group. Speaking of groups, the next match, a ladder match, 4-way ladder match. Tremendous, man. This was one of the best ladder matches, I'd say. So much action through this, and like we saw with Money in the Bank just a few weeks ago, with the women's match, there seemed like there was a pace to the match, and it seems like it's a new way of WWE. You usually get you take a bump and a guy rolls out, another person comes in. It's still that kind of thing, but I definitely feel like they've picked up the tempo with these ladder matches, and this was an amazing match. You had the Street Profits in here. You had Undisputed Era with Fish and Riley in this match. You had the Forgotten Sons in this match, and you had Birch and Lorcan in this match. Everybody brought it. There were so many spills throughout this match. So much action through this. This is, like I said, this is one of the best ladder matches I've seen because the action was all over the place. A few ladder matches a few weeks ago. To see this one, blew them out of the water. Got some good tag team action. And Street Profits, they finally came through with winning the gold. And, good for them. Good for them. It was about time. I don't think there was any other team, that deserved. I don't like saying deserve because, not everybody deserves it for tenure. And obviously this was one of those where, the Profits have been here for a while. They've gotten opportunities before. They've been probably the longest tag team than the other teams involved in this matchup. So for them to get a win and pick up the gold, good for them, good for their careers. Montez Ford and D'Angelo Dawkins. D'Angelo Dawkins is, an NXT veteran, man. At this point, he's been there the longest, I'd say. I mean, for him to finally be getting success now, it's good for him. Good moment for them. Good moment for the crowd. The celebration post this match was tremendous. Definitely showing the excitement that you see at an NXT event. I've been to one. If you haven't had the chance to go to one, definitely make that trip. I know it's a little weary, if you want to go to a WWE show or not, with so much of the promos and the production. But go out to an NXT show because it's a straight wrestling show throughout the night. And great match right here, ladder match, new tag team champions. Could we possibly see a new women's champion? Maybe. This match was great. Io Shirai taking on Shayna Baszler, the champ. Good hard hitting match. Io is definitely showed me more in this match. I think maybe the last few weeks or the last few months, Io has been more of the sidekick and been kind of the tougher sidekick. She's coming out, helping everybody out, but she's getting her chance, and one-on-one against Shayna for the women's championship, the NXT women's championship. She, like I said, she showed more than I've seen in the past few months from her, and definitely see more potential. Shayna gets the win regardless. She's unstoppable, man. She's great too. I just love Shayna Baszler because when you see her walk out and the way she carries herself throughout the match, constant professional, really living up to her character. How much of that is really her and how much of that is the character, who knows? But she's playing it really well that it comes off TV very organic, and she's very comfortable playing her role on NXT. And I got to give credit to, like I said, this was a good match for them. Shayna wins, but I think the thing that we most want to talk about is post-match, Io with a beatdown on Shayna with a kendo stick, and there was some outside ring kind of scuffle with Candice LeRae, Shayna's entourage, on Shayna Baszler post-match, and then she goes up to the top rope and she asks for a steel chair and does a moonsault with the steel chair right onto Shayna Baszler. This was picture perfect. I haven't seen something like that in a long time. It's very Sabu. I think that's one of the things that everybody was comparing this to. It had an ECW vibe to it. And again, this is coming from the women of this match. So I love it. I love this match. Is Io possibly a heel now? I hope not. I think this is just showing that this is who Io is. She's a hard-hitting badass, and she likes to play with toys. All right, moving on. Next match, Velveteen Dream and Tyler Breeze. Great match. I think this is a dream match for a lot of you NXT fans that love those NXT originals. Tyler Breeze coming back to NXT, good for him, man. You want to see someone like this, and I know, like I said before, wrestling fans love when a superstar that hasn't got an opportunity gets an opportunity. Someone that is very talented but isn't utilized in the way that they're able to show their talents out to the world. And Tyler Breeze is one of those guys. Tyler Breeze is one of those that we remember who he was in NXT and what he's capable of, and we know who he has been in the main roster. And for him to get an opportunity like this to come back to NXT and have a match with a guy like Velveteen Dream, who is over in today's NXT, great opportunity for Tyler Breeze, and for him to go out here and have a matchup like they did was tremendous. Great match all the way. I definitely think that this match was more story building. These are two characters. These aren't two wrestlers that when you tune in, I mean, no doubt about it, they're going to give you a great match, but I think their characters were showing through more of this. And again, this is another great match. It wasn't, a fast action pack like the rest of them. And it wasn't a Velveteen, match like we've seen him before, like with Aleister Black or with Ciampa. But this was a really good match. This was Tyler Breeze's best match that I've seen so far. He's had some great ones, folks. I'm not going to say that he hasn't had a great match before, but this is Tyler Breeze's best match to date. Post-match, Velveteen and Tyler Breeze were in the middle of the ring, and Velveteen had Tyler Breeze's phone, and he was asking for, you going to take a selfie with the champ? And Tyler Breeze looked like he wasn't, but then he, hey, come in here and we'll take a picture together. Good moment. Good moment for both guys. Velveteen right now, he's so over, and he has aspects of his character that's, he's not all the way babyface because he's very flamboyant and very much all about him. Post-match stuff like this, taking a selfie with Tyler Breeze is great. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Velveteen had a match with Aleister Black. And the whole thing was that, Velveteen wanted Aleister to say his name. And well, they had a great match at that takeover. Aleister came up with the win, but post-match, Aleister, he said his name. He said Velveteen Dream. And Velveteen got what he wanted. He said his name. And it kind of reminded me and made me think, this is Velveteen's kind of paying it forward. And it saves face for both guys, and as I was getting to was post-match interview backstage, and I think this was on WWE.com or in WWE YouTube, but Tyler Breeze, saying, that he had a great match with Velveteen out there. Tyler Breeze is back on NXT, and if he can have a performance like he did, coming very close to pinning the North American champion, there's no doubt about that you're going to see the best Tyler Breeze back in NXT. And that's pretty much what I got to get. I kind of paraphrased it there. He didn't exactly say all that. But Tyler Breeze back on NXT is good. Good for him and good for television. All right, guys, moving on. to main event of this. This is only 5 matches, and 5 matches on the show. This thing went on for 2.5 hours, but the main event we saw Adam Cole challenging Johnny Gargano, Johnny Takeover, Johnny Wrestling, Johnny NXT at this point. This guy is the face of NXT. Now, there's been some good folks that have come before Johnny that have represented NXT, guys like Finn Balor, Shinsuke, and Sami Zayn comes to mind. But Johnny Gargano has definitely been carrying the torch for NXT, and he's got a big challenge in Adam Cole. This is their second match for the NXT Championship. They had one at Takeover Brooklyn, Takeover New York, I should say, just about 2 months ago. And now here we have the rematch. Adam Cole looking to get a major title in WWE. Now, he's been North American champion. He's been one half of the NXT champion. But that NXT title cements yourself and may pay dividends, because as we're going to see that NXT champions go on to the main roster, and they're more favor-handed by management because they are viewed as champions and carried a brand for a while, and they put that trust in them. Johnny Gargano here, everything on his back, all of NXT looking to defend the belt against Adam Cole. Great match. I don't think that this one lived up to the one that we saw just a few months ago in New York, but it was a good, solid match, good story along the way. But I gotta say, this was a good show. Many things have happened before we got to this main event. Only a 2.5 hour show, and the crowd seemed a little bit tired from this one, in my opinion. But again, they were in it all the way. I was in it. Good story. In the end, hard hitting back and forth stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. That's one thing that sometimes it takes me away. When you're in a match or a fight, really, you're going back and forth, and in the very end, you're still trading blows that look like that should have been the end, or this could be the end. And I know you got to build up that anticipation, that drama with kickouts, and maybe some interference, as we saw. It looked like Adam Cole was calling out Undisputed Era for some help. They never came up. He was just playing possum just to further his advantage on Johnny Gargano. And look, it paid off, because in the end, Adam Cole, it was a strike fest at the end. Adam Cole got the upper hand. 1, 2, 3, center of the ring. Adam Cole has won a major championship in WWE. This is huge for him. If you've been following Adam Cole from Ring of Honor, New Japan, to WWE now, this is big for him. It cements him now a part of WWE, and good things for him, good things for Undisputed Era. And what a way to close out the show. Undisputed Era comes out, and this is exactly the image that I've been wanting for a while now, maybe about a year. I've always thought that Undisputed Era needs to run NXT, make them the stable that just takes over the show. There's absolute chaos. There's no control over them. Kind of makes me think that for the third year in a row, if there is a War Games, there's no doubt that Undisputed Era will be there to defend their match, because it's their match at this point. They've been in the first two. What a showing from Undisputed Era and Adam Cole. What a way to close out the show. Again, what does this mean for Johnny Gargano? Who knows? Call-ups, not quite sure yet on who's being called up. I don't think right now anybody from NXT needs to be called up, because we all know what's going on up there. But back to Adam Cole winning a championship in another promotion. Like I've said, he's been all over places. He's been in many different organizations in the past year, and for him to pick up a championship in WWE, that's going to define him, and a major championship, because this is the biggest promotion, folks. And NXT championship, whether you want to look at it or not, it's a developmental brand. It's just a small brand. It's a big player. I would think that when you talk about the type of programs that you watch, you're talking about WWE, you're talking about AEW, you're talking about Ring of Honor, Impact, and you're going to be talking about NXT there. So for him to get another championship and another promotion is good for him, and it's good for other talent that we've seen win championships and other promotions this week. Jon Moxley is another guy that's winning championships in other promotions. This week, Jon Moxley made his New Japan Pro Wrestling debut, and what a debut. He had a great match with Juice Robinson. I saw the highlights. I haven't seen the full match yet, but good stuff, hard-hitting stuff. I don't know how long the match ran for, but from what I saw, man, very old school, going on the crowd, guardrails, all that good stuff. You know, if this is Moxley's matches going forward, just straight brawling, man, I look forward to it because it's a little bit on the Austin side, and that's the type of wrestling that I haven't seen in a while. That old Stone Cold, you know, just action all over the place, go all over the arena, just good stuff. He did sport some new attire, folks, so if you're a fan of Dean Ambrose wearing those jeans, say bye-bye. He's wearing just short wrestling trunks, almost like just short boxer briefs, some knee pads, and some black boots. I love the look. He's showing that he is serious, and he's going all out on being this tough, badass guy, as we saw in those the vignette that he posted when he first left WWE and breaking out of the prison. We saw him working out in a boxing gym and, you know, jabbing, throwing some strikes and sparring. It shows on here. Dean Ambrose, or Jon Moxley in this case, and it's showing because Jon Moxley has some new weapons in his arsenal, and he looked good. He looks to be in the best shape, you know, best, you know, mental shape, really, if you think about it. He looks in the zone from just watching these highlights. Going back to the Wade Keller podcast that he had this weekend, there's a lot of things that he touched on that podcast, and you know, and that he touched on the Jericho podcast, and we talked about this last week about the Jericho podcast. But Wade Keller interview was very interesting because if you think he dropped a lot of news on the Jericho podcast, boy, did he ever on this Wade Keller interview, which went on for 2.5 hours. It's a two-parter and it's available. I really recommend that if you're gonna listen to a great interview and have the insights from a top guy, and you know what really goes on and what you might think goes on as a WWE fan or wrestling fan in that case. This is a really good interview because he gives you a lot of the insights of how Vince thinks of what went on with the match with Brock Lesnar, what goes on with writing, what goes on with talent, you know, what the mood is and all that. He gives a lot of his insight as well of what he's looks forward to do in AEW. And he did say that this is his last time that he's going to talk about WWE and be questioned about WWE. So again, highly recommended interview on Wade Keller's podcast. You can look for that and look for the Jon Moxley interviews. Great stuff. Like I said, he gave a lot of insights into Vince and how Vince thinks. And, you know, by the way TV's been going, especially this week, you know, you question it more. I don't know if WWE is yet to really respond to any of this, or if they are responding, or if it doesn't matter. You know, I listening to those interviews, you would think that Vince is a little upset that Ambrose, you know, left and then shows up at Double or Nothing. Boy, man, he must be livid with the comments that Ambrose made specifically about him and about how he handles his company and how he handles talent and the writing and the booking. And those are all things that I wanted to get into because it's the one thing that, you know, me as a wrestling fan and as a viewer of WWE product every single week, I question talent. And, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. Talent is not being used. Why aren't you using this person? Why is this person being used? There's a lot of that all over the place, and with Raw and SmackDown this week and the wild card rule, we definitely don't see a lot of talent being used because we're seeing the same story being told over the course of 2 shows and over the course of the pay-per-view. So talent not being used is one thing, and he made it very clear. He said, why aren't guys like Apollo Crews or Tyler Breeze, why aren't they used? Why can't one week they do use Dean and, let's say for this case, Seth, and next week it's a backstage promo, or show the videos. I mean, there's an abundance of videos that WWE plays throughout their television, and we know it, and that's one thing this week that I'm going to get into. But should show a video, show the video package. Don't show the video package in the middle of a promo. Show the video package this week, and, you know, have Apollo Crews versus Tyler Breeze in a one-on-one match. Give them some airtime. Give them 6 minute match on TV. It's 6 minutes. Might not be enough, and you might be thinking, give them more. But 6 minutes is 6 minutes that we don't ever see of any other talent. And in this case, he gave two examples that were great. Two guys that are there every single week, and there are many back there, not just those two, Apollo and Tyler Breeze, that aren't getting the opportunity, aren't getting the TV time. Heck, where in the fuck are the Raw Tag Team Champions? I say it every single week on this show. Where are the Raw Tag Team Champions? And not just them. Where is the tag team division? And he talks about the writing and it not making any sense. And you dread looking at that sheet that you get handed to you and what you're doing that night. And it's a good example this week was that Bailey Alexa segment this week where Alexa is a face on Raw and coming to defend Nikki Cross and standing up for her and being in her corner. And over on SmackDown, she's back to being a heel and being, a brat to Bailey. And it's that follow-up on the characters and the talent and the writing. It's consistency is one thing that is affecting their writing. Definitely, it's consistency. That's if there's just one thing, is that they're not consistent and going back and watching, seeing if they dotted their I's and crossed their T's, for that matter. And the booking. The booking is another thing that he did make clear of, that the booking is just not done right. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, and this week there was a good example of that, guys. And look, I'm giving you guys what he talked about, and then giving you an example because it's there, folks. It's there. The booking this week, when we saw Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in a tag team match to open up SmackDown, that it almost seemed like they were treated as the local jobbers. I mean, they came back from a break and they were there, and it just they were there to take a loss and to eventually lead to Kofi Kingston getting ambushed by Dolph Ziggler post match. But it just didn't seem like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn mattered. And it's the booking. And I know we just talked about there's talent that's not being booked at all, but also the talent is being booked at times doesn't make sense. Now here are two guys that could be in the main event. They could be helping your tag team division. Just make these two guys tag team. You're not going to keep them apart shows. I don't know if there's this clause that you got to keep these guys together. They're best friends. There's an agreement from so and so's wife or family that he has to be him or he needs him to travel. Whatever the case is, just make these guys tag teams champion. And again, no tag teams. The booking. We're talking about the booking right now. There's no Raw tag team champions. Now, the Usos and the Revival are having heavy TV time on Raw. Yes, that's good for them. But the rest of the tag team division, where are they at? We haven't seen Heavy Machinery. We haven't seen the Viking Raiders be on TV. We don't see the Good Brothers on TV. Where are these tag teams? We haven't seen Rusev and Nakamura. I don't like them as a team, but still, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, Rowan. I mean, come on. Look, and we're talking about Super Showdown, which we will get to in just a few minutes. There's not one tag team match on this show, and that right there is showing the no consistency in the writing and the booking. The TV presentation is a whole other thing. And that's one thing that I've been, I've just one of my things that's just been, getting on me. Since I started this podcast, I've been mentioning how many video presentations they air. How many do they have to air? Now it's getting so bad that they're just showing up in the middle of a promo. I mean, you finish a line and a video pops up. It's getting out of hand, and that's one thing that takes away, the commercial breaks is one thing that, we complain about, that there's an entrance right into commercial. You don't get to see that special entrance. Entrances are a big deal to us. It's a big deal in video games. It's a big deal to us. It's the theme music, the presentation, and you just go away, and we don't get to see what they're about. You go away on, there's one thing that gets to me is when they take a commercial break in the middle of a pinfall. It's happened a few times. They've done a good job of not happening, but it'll be a cover, but we got to go to break. Come on. It's stuff like that that just takes you out. And it's those things that WWE, those mishaps that WWE has, that, once you figure it out and it's just not working, and it's not doing it for you, and you say, man, this is just bad. There's going to be that chance that you're going to change the channel to check on the game or check on another show, and you might not come back. Rather than you changing the channel, checking on the game, and being reminded, oh, WWE, it's back on, it's back on. I don't know if that happens to anybody, but that's the way it seems like it from the presentation of the show. And those are some of the examples that Jon Moxley said on the interview with Wade Keller, and some of the examples that I gave out that make a case for a lot of the statements that he said. And you can't blame the guy for leaving the company, not with seeing what he's been able to do and what he's been able to accomplish right away. Just a few weeks, a month since leaving the company. The biggest thing that Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, has gained is freedom. He's free to do whatever he wants, and here he is winning a New Japan Championship belt. He is the New Japan US champion for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And look, if you would have said that a year ago that, Dean Ambrose is going to be wrestling in New Japan and be wearing one of their titles, nobody would have predicted that. But it's happening now, and anything is possible. And this is a good time for wrestling. And when you see a guy like this break out, show that you can get away from WWE and still be a star. It may not work for everybody. Now don't think that talent in WWE that's waiting for their contract to expire and waiting for them to get out, that they might have the same success. I mean, there's some talent that's already out of WWE, and they're around, but they're not getting the impact, and they're not pulling in that attention like Moxley is. All right, guys, so I said we were going to talk about Super Showdown. This isn't going to be any predictions. This isn't going to be a review or anything, because obviously by the time that this podcast drops on Friday, the show had already aired or is airing, however you want to watch it. And I would believe that a lot of you have chosen not to watch this. And that's one thing that I did want to talk about. Are you watching it? Are you going to watch it? Are you not going to watch it because the timing issue? Are you not going to watch it because you just don't really care? You haven't been pulled in, to this pay-per-view. Or are you just not going to watch it because of the political reasons, of the Saudis, or however this relates to American, or however you feel about a country that is homophobic, doesn't appeal to, a lot of the morals that we as Americans have. Why would I not watch it? I will be watching, and I'm going to watch the show. Not really any reason other than I like wrestling. I like new WWE programming, and this is a new live event. It's a pay-per-view. Why would I miss it? And I know that a lot have opted out not to watch it because of political reasons. And look, I'm not going to judge you for you not wanting to watch for those reasons, but WWE and wrestling, and this is again my opinion, folks, WWE Pro Wrestling for me is an escape from a lot of the real world, and it's entertainment. Many WWE fans and wrestling fans, no matter what promotion you're into, no matter what type of wrestling you watch, I think we all can agree that let's keep politics out of wrestling. Now, in this case, WWE is in bed with Saudi Arabia, and in a way, the politics are mixed in. But at the end of the day, guys, it's a wrestling event. It's a wrestling event to all those that would be there in that stadium. It's a wrestling event on television for all those who would be watching. It's a wrestling event, folks. There are far worse people or promotions or whatever, organizations, celebrities, whatever, that are doing deals much worse than the WWE. And again, that's my opinion on why I will be watching. I didn't feel like I needed to justify, but I just needed to mention that, look, guys, at the end of the day, it's a wrestling show, and we should just enjoy it. And we should enjoy it and support the talent on this show. A lot of you guys don't agree with the talent having to be, maybe kind of forced to go, or there are some that have opted out not to go. Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Sammy, Aleister Black. But for those that are on the trip, and look, whether they didn't want to go and didn't speak up, we can't come down on them or, not show our support for them, because we appreciate what they do. And this is another show. This is another gig for the talent on WWE, and I will be watching to support the talent on this show. Whether they didn't want to go or not, it's still good to see what they do and what they do best, and maybe some good TV. Who knows? I know the last one, Crown Jewel, was a debacle. They're mainly because that's when a lot of this news report started going on about the Saudi government. But hey, the last greatest Royal Rumble last year, it was a good show. We got a good moment out of it. Titus O'Neil, we got that moment with Brock and Roman in the cage. Who knows who may show up on this? So that's why I'll be watching. Guys, don't let the politics ruin your guys' viewership of something that you enjoy, and support the talent. Support the talent because that's what really why we watch. We're not watching because we're diehard loyal Vince fans, or this is a good moment for the Saudi government. We're watching it for the talent that we watch every Monday night and Tuesday. And this is an opportunity for them to showcase what they got. It's a big stage. They're comparing it to WrestleMania, just as good or better than WrestleMania. I don't know how you can say that it's going to be better than WrestleMania. There's no tag team matches on this card. There's no women's matches on this card. And look, there's a rumor. At this point, it may happen or it might have happened, but Alexa Bliss and Natalia were the only two females, along with Renee, to make the trip over there. And that's, again, because the Saudis don't allow women to compete. I don't agree with, but it is another country, and it is their laws, and we must respect that. But anyways, that's Super Showdown. Who knows what's going to happen, or who knows what happened. But we'll talk about it next week on the show. And that's going to do it for me, guys. This was not a show filled with so much to talk about. There wasn't much to talk about really from WWE this week, and I could have gone on a big rant about, a lot of the stuff that I didn't agree with on Raw, but that would be way too much negativity on this one episode of this podcast. So didn't want to go that way. I did want to cover NXT, talk about Jon Moxley and what he's doing outside of the ring, and a little preview about Super Showdown. All right, and as we wrap up the show, I don't want to leave you guys without giving you guys my performers of the week and my floppers of the week. Yes, there were some this week. My performers of the week, otherwise known as my MVP of the week, I'm going to give it to Roderick Strong. I know he came up with a loss, and Matt Riddle, I would have put him on here too, but Roderick's performance, I'm a huge fan of. I got to give it up to him. It's his wrestling. It's his style that he brings into. It's that instinct that he has when he's in the ring. I'd like to see more of that from him and from more wrestlers. It's just my type of wrestling, and I like that hard-hitting stuff. So I got to give it up to Roderick Strong, performer of the week. And my other performer of the week, Jon Moxley. I mean, this guy is, unstoppable since leaving WWE. He's made his debut on AEW, signed a big multi-year, probably multi-million-dollar contract. And now he's in New Japan winning more championships over there. So good to him, Jon Moxley. He is having just, a time of his life being away from WWE. And what a way to start that momentum as you head on to AEW by becoming New Japan's IWGP United States champion. All right, guys, and my flopper of the week this week, I got to give it up to two people. It's Kevin Owens again this week. And again, it's not Kevin Owens, his in-ring work, his mic work, and stuff like that. It's his booking, not his fault. But he's, again, on a slippery slope is, I think, the term that I used last week to define his, stance right now in the company. And he's on that slippery slope, as we saw this week. Didn't really play a big deal. You almost forgot that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are something, are someone to be messed with. And again, Sami Zayn, last week having that moment with the electric chair, and just this week just being featured on just a throwaway tag team match to open up the show on Smackdown. Again, they're my floppers of the week. Kevin Owens, you can throw Sammy in there. It seems like they're always together, so he gets to be part of it too. And my other flopper of the week, I gotta do it. I feel like this person is just a regular on the flopper of the week. It's Becky Lynch, the man. And you're probably thinking, Becky Lynch, your flopper of the week? Like, Are you not a fan of her? I am a huge Becky Lynch fan. I'm just not a fan of her character. And, it was no different this week from many other weeks from Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch in the ring with a microphone. You know what's coming, folks. It's her long story about how tough of a fighter she is. And again, you have to bring up WrestleMania. And in this case, this kind of what blew my mind. We're 2 months removed from WrestleMania, and we're still getting the "You Deserve It" chant for her accomplishment at WrestleMania. I mean, it's unbelievable. Just it's getting stale, And her segment this week on Raw was interrupted by Lacey and then Charlotte, and you didn't see Becky in the picture. You didn't hear a word from her the rest of the segment. Again, she's on that slippery slope too of kind of just fading away. The WrestleMania honeymoon, it's over. It's been over. And WWE still referencing WrestleMania and how big that main event was and how much it took for Becky Lynch to get to that point and main event and be the Raw Women's Champion. We got to get past that. We are in June. We're now making the trip to SummerSlam, and we cannot be focusing and showing video packages anything to do with WrestleMania. So, Becky, I think you're just going to stay on Floppers of the Week this week. And that's going to do it for this week's episode, guys. Be sure to go find us over on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling, and we are over on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle. You can find us anywhere else you listen to your podcast. Be sure to check us out, like, review, comment, and share the podcast. That would really help us out with the podcast. And again, guys, we are up on YouTube now over at Speaking Wrestling. Find us there. You'll find last week's episode, and you'll find this week's episode. So go ahead and go over to YouTube, like, and subscribe to the page to get any updates on us when we be posting. And that's going to be it, guys. I hope you guys have a good weekend this weekend. Watch Super Showdown. Again, that Moxley interview. If you haven't listened to it, go ahead and check that out. That's going to do it for me, guys. We're going to be speaking wrestling next week, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.